Reigniting Travel, Thinking Beyond the Buzzwords to Find Your Spark. We created this entire topic and workbook because even though we're in different parts of the industry and we're in different places in the world, we all are hearing the same buzzwords, right? And we're getting this nagging feeling about, oh my goodness, I should be doing a virtual tour. Oh my goodness, okay, what about SEO? I have to be focusing on SEO now. Wait, Facebook. There's so many of these buzzwords that are going along right now, and we're seeing them in LinkedIn, and we're seeing them in Facebook, and we're seeing them all over. We are as well, because we're friends with lots of you online, or we follow you in your social media, and we feel the sense of urgency. The one thing I would like to mention here is that one situation is not the same for all of us. We have people here who are in almost phase 3, who are in a very competitive environment. I know our clients in Florida are, still full on, and it's very competitive there. Things are actually almost as much as they were last summer. We also have some clients here and people from around the world who, can't even welcome guests yet because they are serving inbound visitation from other countries. The cruise ships have stopped, things like that. So we have so many different levels of, expand, contract. What do we need to do? We feel it's very important to recognize that this is not a one-size-fits-all. A virtual tour is not going to fit one company if it works great for another. Facebook is probably going to be a great baseline for most of us, but it's all in how you use it. So let's move on. We're going to break it down for you. Hello there. We're a collaborative of award-winning tourism event marketers who believe in the power of experiential messaging. This is us. We are Von Mack. Hello. There's more of us behind the scenes. But if you have any questions or if you're more curious about what we do, you can visit our website where we are marketing for experiences and see some of our most recent work here as well. From there, we're going to talk about the climate, okay? So again, we are lots of different facets, lots of different places in the world, lots of different phases, right? So we have to understand that we're different. However, there are a few things that bind us together. Really, one of those things is that we are in a decimated point of industry right now. People are saying that tourism almost might even be in a depression. It's not official, but there's lots of reports saying that. And everyone is trying to get a feel for the pulse of what's next. What is this traveler intent? That's what binds us all. That's what binds people from who work in airlines all the way to hotels and in tours, right? So with that, we need to realize that, what is next for travel? What are these reporters trying to assess? And are they even correct? They're trying. The answer is they're trying. But it's an ever-moving, ever-evolving situation, right? So this is going to be about our current marketing climate. Visitation forecasts segmented by location and travel sector are published quite frequently, more frequently than normal actually, because we're all trying to guess that next move. And the numbers indicating intent appear substantial enough for many to make it to 2021. Hopefully most of us, many if we plan strategically. However, this data means only so much when it's positioned against the political climates of individual locations. Layer in cultural positions on behavior, historical seasonality, and the amount of funds readily available to both you and your competitors, and it becomes glaringly clear that your particular situation is insanely unique, and you have to recognize that before you chase the next buzzword, right? Right here we have over to the right, what we're bound to lose. And it's pretty mind-boggling how travel is decimated with these other reports that talk about intent. And when I mean intent, I mean the propensity of people to want to travel, to want to visit you. They can't, but how much do they want to? How comfortable are they, planning vacations? And data, again, keeps coming out over and over and over, all these different reports, by sector. But far and wide, what we are seeing is that there is intent. There are those people that wish to travel. The amount of them kind of fluctuate depending on where you are in the world. And it does depend on your culture, how brazen you are comparatively as a culture to being safe. But by and large, there is intent. It's just based off the political climate now. So we have, what's happening. We have an idea of the intent. We know that there is some there, but we also have to worry about or be mindful of the political climate. What are people allowed to do? And that changes everything. That's the bottom line, right? What are people allowed to do? Once you assess that, then you can figure out where you need to plan. So let's think beyond the buzzwords. What does that even mean? For one, it indicates that there's no one solution for recovery marketing. And I'm sorry if I keep going over and over, but I want to make it so clear that it is not one size fits all. We call this shiny toy syndrome. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it before, but it's basically something where you're following the next big thing. It catches your eye like a cat to a toy. And what you want to do in terms of seeing something that is working for someone else is really try to qualify if this may work for you before you spend a lot of time and money on it, because some of these things do take a great investment of time, and there are other things that might be better qualified for your attention. So now we're in a workbook. We're going to assess where you guys are. And again, you guys will have your own copy of this that you can fill out with us. So we're going to decide if you need to sit, walk, run, okay? And this is where we've assessed what you need to do. There are different strategies for each of these, but to kick things off, we need to figure out where you are. Are you allowed to tour? Are you or welcome visitors to your destination? Are you kind of maybe in between? You have to be watchful. Are you in phase 2, phase 2 or 3? Or are you almost full on where you have to be super competitive because there's not much else to do and all of your competitors are going balls to the wall? So this is where we need to assess. And this is where, look, it's super fun. You can fill it out yourself. This is how this workbook is going to be. But keep in mind before you decide this, because you might want to get ahead of yourself here. A lot of people, when they're planning, they want to go. They're, just pumped up and ready, at the starting line, ready to go. I want to let you guys know that if you do this, and if you're in this mindset of pumped up and ready to go, you're going to give yourself some unneeded anxiety. And I know that I'm not a psychologist and I'm not trying to promote, super crazy wellness here, but it is important because self-care is important. And you have to be in a sound mind to make rational decisions. We're all in this together. As I said, with travel, we're all in this together. But, and that's what's binding us, right? We're all kind of in this mindset of despair and what do we do next? But we need to realize that if we're going to decide where we are, it needs to be congruent with our actuality, okay? So be realistic with yourself when you decide this. Are you sitting, right? Are you currently restricted from providing travel services at all? This is where you sit. There are still some strategies for you, but you need to click sit. If you're able to provide some services, but you're extremely limited, click walk. And then if you are one of the few lucky ones that can actually welcome people, click run. So I want everyone to take a second here and assess where they are in this situation realistically and honestly, okay? I'll give you a second. Okay, are we good? Okay, let's move on. Okay, so let's break down the buzz now that we know where we are. Okay, now that we've assessed our stance, and we've moved into the right mindset, right? We're nice, we're calm, we're pumped, but we're not feeling this big lump in our chest. We're doing a realistic view of ourselves. We're looking in the mirror as a brand. It's time to take action. Enough with all these buzzwords. We're sick of hearing all of these buzzwords too. They do carry influence, and there's a reason for that, and we'll tell you about it. But don't feel this huge weight on your shoulders, okay? There's a way to take charge. And it's time to break it down. All right, so the first one is, of course, local marketing. Now, I've spoken on local marketing quite a bit myself, and I'm going to tell you that local marketing is, in fact, something you need to pay attention to. And here's why. Local marketing is not, and how we broke it down, nutshell, and what it doesn't mean and how to take advantage. So check out this workbook. Local marketing is not just drilling down to a particular radius in your marketing and only reaching the neighborhood people. No, local marketing is reaching an entirely different kind of person or future patron altogether. Normally, when we're doing tourism marketing, we're reaching either travelers who are in town already or planning to come to town, or if we're a destination, we're trying to plant the seed, right, with our marketing and with our dollars to, inspire people to one day visit. Well, the thing is, when we're talking local marketing, we're not doing that as much. We still are, because when we're speaking local marketing, we're speaking of a short drive radius. Okay, for those of us here who are from the south of America or USA, we know that we, instead of miles, sometimes we adjust or think about distances and time frames. So for all of you, just follow me along. But in terms of local, we're thinking maybe a 1 to 3 hour drive range. So we're talking to people who live in your backyard, people who can drive to you easily. But most of all, we're talking to people who can reach your destination or reach your place of touring or attraction or hotel and get back the same day. Now, we do have the extended local, which can go up to 4 hours. And we have seen data that shows that road trips will be on the rise. This should be the year of the road trip, things like that. However, when we have to think of the mindset of local marketing, by and large, we have to base it in not a visitor to town. These people know your culture already. These people share your culture. These people have an ownership and an authority on the culture that you sell, right? So not only are we limiting our marketing to a particular geo radius, but we are changing the way we connect with them, because it's no longer okay. Well, it is okay, but it's not effective. It's no longer effective to say this is the best tour of Cincinnati. What does best mean? Best is not as descriptive or engaging as it could be, right? Or if you're a destination, visit here, we have, food that'll, make your belly full or whatever. You need to be super, 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 super descriptive, and you need to have a great competitive edge, right? Because not only are you reaching these people with your message, you're trying to get them to get up and do something. So that's an action, right? So you're trying to get people to do something that may or may not be safe now or later. And you're competing now not against other destinations, not against other hotels, not against other tour companies. You are competing with everything that they are able to do in town. So you're competing against Netflix. You're competing against a family buying a blow-up pool for their kids. You're competing against bike rides. You're competing against, a drive to another park. This is, in the baseline, this is completely different than what you're trying to do. Because if you're trying to inspire somebody with the idea of culture, and you're trying to inspire somebody with the idea of, a brand new place or experience, then you need to make that super, super strong and super, super compelling. Now, that sounds really difficult to do, right? But that's why we have a workbook. So, local marketing, this is where we can start filling stuff out. Okay, so let's have it filled out here. Great. For example, Susie's Tour Company. Explore historic sites of Chicago that time forgot. That's giving you a mental picture of, okay, these are things, I live in town and I didn't even realize, where is time forgot? Wow, I know exactly what I need to expect. Not so great. Susie's Tour Company, the best tours of Chicago. Again, what does best mean? That's not going to get me off my couch. Is that going to get you off your couch? This is where you can start filling it out, right? This is my positioning. So you can fill that out, and I might have spelled that wrong, but that's fine. And here's a pro tip. If you wish, or if you're stuck and you're in a rut and you can't really figure out how to be more descriptive or how super compelling, I recommend that you wear a mask, be super, super safe in the way that you go about this. But I want you to go outside of your business if you're a tour business or a restaurant or a hotel and stand on the curb. If you are a destination, I want you to go to the center of town. And I want you to physically look at where people are going. Where are they patroning? Where is this traffic flowing to, if there is any traffic? Where's the interest? You can view a lot online with trends, but nothing beats physically being there, right? Nothing beats physically being there and seeing, are these families, what, and go during the busiest time. This is where you can have an idea of what people are looking for in this part of time, right? And then that's where you can get in the mindset of, okay, they're, going into this restaurant, or this is what they're looking for. They're looking for comfort, right? Or are they looking for, are they couples? Are they looking for fun, active things to do? This is where you need to have a visual of what's going on. Even if it's a mental visual, if you can't get out, that's fine. I understand if you have kids at home, that's fine. But you do need to understand that you're going to need to level up, okay? And when you're leveling up and you're doing local marketing, it is a brand new ballgame, and you have to be engaging. Now, how you're going to get this message through is the next level of tourism marketing, and that is, or local tourism marketing, and that's where you are doing the geofencing and Google Ads and Facebook, and even in the tangible realm, right? So if you are seeing people going to a particular restaurant, maybe you want to reach out to that restaurant and see if you could put some coasters in there with your new deal or collaborative or whatever you're doing. If you're seeing people going and being active in a park nearby, then maybe you need to see where you can get advertising for people to see from that park. That's the local aspect. So when, it's not just the mindset, it's the physicality. But if the mindset isn't there, if the competitive edge isn't there, then when you get granular, it's not going to be effective, right? So that's what I want you guys to understand. All right. Okay, so let's go to buzzword number 2. Or do we have any questions? Are we good?
So we do not have any questions yet, so I want to invite everyone who's with us to go into our chat and ask us any questions that you might have as we continue. But we do have a poll open right now. What recovery phase are you in? And it looks like 76% of our attendees are in phase 2.
Mute mic. Can you guys hear me? Are we good now? Okay. So, buzzword number 2, virtual tours, okay? Think with Google is something, our reports that Google send out all the time. And not all the time, not as often as I would like, but it gives you some great data on the searches. In this regard, Think with Google just put out something yesterday that touched on virtual tours, and there's a link here in the workbook. But basically it says that searches related to virtual tours have grown globally by over 500%. Globally, but I mean, that's huge, right? And that's because people are sitting on their couch, they can't get out, and they're trying to experience things from afar. Now, this is where I want you to be wary about how you spend your time, okay? Virtual tours, we have seen virtual tours, and there's actually some links in here that have been successful in bringing in dollars in the now, okay? So if we're talking about commercial value of virtual tours, I have seen it happen, but it has to be super creative and it has to be a level up. So in terms of level up, what I mean is that you need to pair it with something usually in the tangible realm. We've seen people who do tours and they pair it with cheese, tastings or wine pairings. Those do pretty well. Something that has to be a little bit next level than just a video of what you're doing, okay? So that's where we need to think about why we're doing this. If we're trying to use a virtual tour to get people in the door, in the theoretical door sooner than later, then it's usually not just going to be something where you're videoing what you're doing. You are trying to invite them to your experience and have them experiencing that alongside of you, right? Now, virtual tours, in my experience, those examples are not as prevalent as I would like to see. What I do see is that they are great in terms of creating interest and for SEO value, and absolutely for social media. So if you think about what you're doing and the time you're spending on virtual tours, think of it as a tool. to plant the seed or inspire someone to visit you, or to even prove that it's safe. If you're practicing safe measures, you can do a virtual tour with safe measures shown. But if you're expecting it to get dollars, into the till right away, the standard tour might not do it. So before you spend a lot of time in creating this amazing virtual tour, I really want you to lay forth your expectations, okay? And really think about, okay, if I'm going to do this, how much time am I spending on this? And is this going to get dollars in the door right away? Because there's other things. If you're in that mindset, there's other things that you can do that would get dollars in the door right away, other than a virtual tour, okay? So just think about that. Think about what you can do. And if you're doing it and you're realistic about it, and you're realistic in that I'm just going to create this content, it's going to introduce people to my brand, it's going to inspire them for when they can travel one day, then we recommend doing a series of them. And then, you have that initial interest and it can grow. Because especially if you list this on YouTube, YouTube is owned by Google. That is a great way to get rankings and a great way to get eyeballs. So that is a great connection there. Again, just don't expect to put it behind a paywall and have people giving you $5 to view, because it's probably not going to happen. I mean, unless you're offering cheese. Okay, so this is where you would fill out virtual tours. Think about it. Why would this work for your brand? Do you have the time to do it? Are you interesting enough that it would be there for someone to actually pull through? I saw that Shane from Tourpreneur had done one a virtual tour with Pompeii, and that's something that is not like anything else in the world. If you're doing something that is very similar to something else, you might have to level up, right? And then should you spend your time on this? Yes or no? I mean, is this a great use of your time? That's super important, because again, there's going to be a lot of things you are going to be doing. And this is where you fill out what's the most interesting thing that you can showcase. If you need some inspiration, we have Trip School's virtual tour directory over here to the right. And we also have Forbes' best virtual tours list, so that you can get a view of what is already out there to see how you'd like to position yourself. All right, this is a big one. SEO. All right, so SEO, you guys, this is basically, it means search engine optimization, and it is with regard to having your site ranked on Google. Or, I mean, all search engines, but Google's really what's the biggest deal here, right? I see a lot of people talking about SEO right now and writing content for it and focusing on getting ranked. I will never tell someone not to do that. I love it when people nerd out, especially nerding out alongside of us. However, again, I'd like for you guys to be realistic here. SEO is a long game. It is a very long game. Per Search Engine Journal, which is a very reputable source for SEO, it can take 4 months up to a year, an entire year, for something to rank based off of if you have positioned it well and done everything you need to do. And this is just for one keyword term. So when you're thinking of SEO, you're not thinking of, I'm going to just get my whole website to rank #1 across the board. No, it is very, very, very granular. So you're talking about getting one page of your website, just one page, to rank for one keyword term, right? That is very specific. So if you're doing that and you are realistic about that, then you need to see which terms send traffic to your website already that convert. Which ones have converted historically. And you can go to your Google Analytics, you can go to Google Webmaster. If you need help, let us know. And that's where you're going to look for the keywords, the 1 or 2 keywords that send people to your site. And then you're going to rank that with how competitive these terms are. And both Google Analytics and Google Webmasters will give you this information. Don't pick a tour, don't pick a New Orleans tour or best things to do in Chattanooga or whatever, if it is of high competition. Because if you're starting off and you're a beginner, this is going to be really tough for you to do, and it might be time wasted. Also, keep in mind that right now, keyword searches are changing because we're thinking local marketing, right? We're thinking within this 1 to 3 hour, maybe 6 hour range. So if we're thinking of SEO and local marketing, people aren't looking for best tours nearby. I mean, I don't know how many people are sitting on their couch right now looking for best tours nearby. They're thinking of, what can I do? What is open? What can I take my kids out to? So the terms are a lot more broad. And if you are trying to rank for those terms, number one, broad is a little bit more difficult to rank for. And number two, if you're trying to rank for, a tour term, a historical tour term, or historical destination term, then you're not going to see results right away. So what we're trying to advise you guys to, get into the mindset for is, yes, SEO is important. Again, all of these buzzwords are important, but it's what you need to spend your time on. What we recommend is that you do focus on SEO, but you realize it's a long game. So it's a build, right? So think of it as a build. Think of it as putting away money in the bank for later. This is part of your piggy bank, right? And you can chip away at it. So you're not spending a lot of time on it initially in the front. But it is something where you're not going to get people in the door right away. And if that's what you're expecting, then you need to really work on your expectations there, because that's not where you should be putting your time and investment. Okay. And you guys, feel free to write in us, chat with us. We're here to continually keep things going. So buzzwords. Why would this work for my brand? Again, these are very important. Should I spend time on it? What are your wish lists? So think about some of your wish list keywords and then go into your stats and cross-reference. And if you need some guide, way to do that, check fronts guide right here. When you click through, it's amazing in terms of its local marketing, SEO, resourcefulness, and then how to blog for SEO. That's a blog from us. So it is tourism related. All right. Number 4, social media. Social media, you guys, okay, this is something where we are going to hear about it, and we're going to hear about it more than ever. And it is with good measure. And we could probably do 2 or 3 different webinars based off of social media, but we're going to try to tell you what's important and what's not. If we're thinking again about social media and local marketing has changed everything. Behavior has been changed completely since this new coronavirus environment. Historical trends are just turned on their head right now. Before, when things were normal, back up all the way until maybe January, social media had been used in tourism to, as I had mentioned, plant the seed. So that's where you are, putting your branding out there, you're putting out posts, you're doing all these things, but you're targeting people with your paid ads on social in your key feeder cities, in your target cities, in your regional drive, and in your city, when they actually get in destination. And usually in the past, social media has served as a way to inspire, and then it has worked hand in hand with Google Ads to convert. So Google Ads are when someone types in a word or a search term in Google and you pay to show up number 1 or 2, but it shouldn't be much lower than that. In Google Ads, it's usually a transactional mindset. They're ready to buy, they've made the decision. In social media, it's more inspirational because it's just showing up on your feed. You're not being active in that search, right? Let's flip to it. Let's flip to where we are now. So where we are now is we're in local marketing, and people are sitting at home, or people are in front of their computer, in front of their phone, way more than they had been in the past. And they're looking to do things nearby. And Facebook in particular, which is where the weight of your audiences will be, because it has the vast majority of users in terms of segments of income and age and all of that, people with discretionary income. They're sitting on their phones, and Facebook now has an events tab. It has a calendar view. It will remind you of events nearby or events that your friends have RSVP'd to, and that'll show up in your feed. So that just changes everything, because now it is becoming more transactional. It is becoming something where people are making a decision more in the now than far out. Okay, so with this regard, we do recommend that you never, ever let your social media just sit there. That's something where, even if you're in your sit stance and, you can't do much, you can get your brand out. You can keep that going. And you can keep interest and even build your audience. If you're in the sit stage, then you can still show some behind the scenes. You can still keep things going. I see Chris from Switzerland is here. He's been doing some great stuff with his Swiss tours as well, and with giveaways and things. keep people inspired, remind people that you're here. And if you continue to do that just in organic, then when it's time, it'll be a long run, but they have a higher propensity to convert. In addition, if you are operational now, if you're a destination and you have something coming up that's, maybe masked, or maybe even if it's virtual, okay? Or if you're a tour company and you have a virtual, on-site coming up, make it an event or make it a recurring event. And that's where it's going to show up in that calendar view. And you can even boost those to your local market. We recommend putting in additional, what I call drivers. And a driver is an additional call to action, a driver towards a sale. So a promo code, or, more towards a package of, if you're a destination, click to book this and get a coupon book or whatever. It doesn't have to be discount based, but what I'm trying to say is that there should be an additional driver there as well. But far and wide, social media is worth the buzz. You just need to think about what to spend time on. Again, right? So what this does not mean, if you're looking at the workbook right now, it does not mean blasting out posts all the time in every single medium that you're in. I get asked all the time if Pinterest is worth it. And really, it may not be if that's not where your audience is. And I think maybe someone has a question, so let me mute myself.
All right, so Gregory Schaefer has a question for you on social media. He's asking, for his target geographical location, should he be selecting a certain country, or should he select his local geozone? The buzzword is local, and most people are booking 1 or 2 days beforehand. He assumes they're already here.
Okay, so I think it's definitely going to lead to, and hello, Gregory, thank you for your question. I think it speaks to where you are currently getting business or where you're looking to get business. If you target other countries, it's going to be more expensive. I'm going to tell you that now. So if you're casting out a net and you're promoting your social post, the bigger that net is of people of that geo range, the more money it's going to cost to reach people. So if you have the budget to do it, and historically you have reached people in these other countries and they've converted, and if they're able to actually, in their political environment, if they're able to tour with you, then try them out. Maybe try out some key cities. I would recommend getting your offer really, really strong, or your engagement level, your competitive edge super strong. And then going into your Facebook stats, you can actually just go into settings and look at your demographics and see maybe which are the top cities within the past 4 to 5 weeks, maybe at most. And then that will show you where the interest is from. And then you can actually boost it to those cities in addition to your locale. And that would be the best use of your money, in my opinion. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, for social media, it's there is organic, which is where you're just posting, and then there's paid. If you have the budget to go paid, this would be one of the first things I would recommend, because we're definitely seeing some traction in regard to, especially if you're in the walk stage. I think walk is this is where you can make a lot of movement. If you're in the run stage, I'm actually going to say do this, but do Google Ads as well, because Google Ads are going to help you with your competition and make sure that you show up in the searches. But social media is definitely a foundation. And this is where, again, you can do some free stuff by getting your posts out there, making them interactive. Make sure you respond to your comments, personalize as much as you can, if you can, for your brand. Show some behind the scenes. Do some things that you normally would not do in social media. And then again, if you're able to sell something, even if you're trying to sell a visit in the future, but for now, this is where you can kind of play with the targeting of the boosting of the ad campaigns within social. So this is where we are in terms of our workbook. Are my business details current? So for this, I do want to touch upon, if you're going to be doing anything in social, the first thing you need to do is make sure that your hours are in everything, your pictures, everything is up to date. If you are an experience or a hotel or whatever, you're definitely going to need to show people who are practicing safe measures. If you are a destination, you still need to make sure that whatever you have is on tone. Okay, because people want to know, what is live, what am I even able to do? Because they're going to click through and they're going to look for that. Number two, how can I use social media to increase visitation? So these are some ideas, and you can click through. Listing activity events, geo-targeted marketing, geo-targeted events-based marketing. Now, let me tell you, I'm not talking about you listing an event and boosting it. When I say events-based marketing, and this is something all of you could really use, you can actually target people. If you have Facebook Ads Manager, if not, let us know and we'll reach out. We can help you. But you can boost your ads to people, your posts to people who have just had a birthday, or just not just had a birthday, who are about to have a birthday, or the husband or wife who is about to have a birthday, or the best friend of someone who just got engaged. And what I'm working towards here is these are people who still want to celebrate, right, in a very safe way. So if you put together something that's like, hey, on my swamp boat, we can take up to 6 people safely, measured, and show a picture of a bachelor party that is safe, you can boost it to people within that area who are friends and are those who have recently got engaged. Or maybe who just are engaged, right? Because there's a lot of pent up events right now as well in terms of where we are in our mind. So this is something you might want to think about. If someone has their wife's birthday coming up, and you happen to be a destination that has a great amount of restaurants that are able to welcome people, then put together, a post that talks about what you can still do in a night on the town, and boost it to people having anniversaries soon and birthdays soon, because that is something that is relevant and worth driving a few hours for, just to feel like you got out to do something. Okay, partner post, this is where you want to cross market with something. So this is where, again, I had told you guys to kind of go out and physically look at what's around. If you see a restaurant that's doing super well, go inside, ask to speak with the owner if they happen to be there. See if you can, do a couple posts or a couple of campaigns online together, because if they are catering to people who are already okay with the current medical environment, if they're willing to take a risk, then those are the people you want to go after. And if as we all know, a warm intro is much better than a cold intro. We know this in tourism, right? Facebook Insta Live, this is a way to be interactive. Interactive content and activations. Activations are when there's something actually in the tangible realm that you can interact with online. So think about, murals that you can take pictures in front of, things like that. If you have anything that you can do that is safe within town, again, this is the time to be creative. Okay, I think we have another question.
All right, America, Chris Wilson would like to know, what would be your recommended budget for Facebook ads per week?
Hi, Chris. How are you doing? In terms of per week, I think it's going to depend on your geo radius and how hard you want to go. And again, this is kind of trying to figure out, and I'm speaking to the audience here as well, how much budget you have and what you are trying to get in the door in the now. I know you, and I know your business, and I see these great things that are going to happen when you're able to really welcome people. So I do think it's worth spending some budget to plant the seed, but I don't think that where you are, because I think you're in the sitting stage right now, I don't think it's worth too much budget to plant the seed if you can use that later on to really drive home a sale. So that said, per week, you could probably get away with maybe $30. You don't have to spend a lot at all. If we're just talking local marketing, you could go really low. You could do 30. If you wanted to go and try to really make some more conversions, you can go higher than that. You could go, maybe even up to 100. But again, that's where you are in your mindset, how hard you want to drive it now. But yeah, I would probably say $30, $35 knowing your business. Okay. So we're going to move on to partnerships. And I think I just touched on this for a bit, but basically partnerships are where you're going after that warm sale. This is where you're trying to reach people who are already going to other businesses or other destinations, who are already traveling in some way or form. These are the best people, right, to reach, because you're trying to inspire them. Maybe they're the younger people who, they just want to get out and they're just being a little rebellious. Maybe they're, I've actually heard of a couple of my clients talking about families that have just been kind of driving through. They're not necessarily even local, but they're just the ones that are out for experiences. So whatever it is, if you happen to see, if you have your eye on the field, get a view for that and try to work up some partnerships. Also, there's the idea of collaborations. You can do this as a destination, or if you are a destination, you can do this with some of your listing partners. If you are a listing partner by means of a tour operator or a hotel, you can do this on your own or with your CVB. But what I'm talking about in terms of collaboratives is pooling together to create a bigger sell, and then pooling your ad dollars together for that. So instead of a partnership where you have one and one and you're kind of just going together to cross sell, right? If you're a collaborative, there's a few of you together and you're putting your ads together, your ad dollars together, and you're really trying to be effective with the weight of that. So what that means is, if you are a bunch of let's say, if you're a restaurant, can you collectively get some other restaurants together to create a discount card or, an ad campaign? If you're a destination, I actually saw something great from Shreveport, Louisiana, where they had put together a package discount for people who, if they booked through the Visit Shreveport Bossier's website, they booked a hotel, they would get this package offer as well. So it kind of drove that as well. So as a destination, this is something that you guys could do. And I would actually recommend, if we have CVBs on here, to drive this lead, because you already have these listings, but put together something that is coronavirus, call it coronavirus, but put something coronavirus positioned, something that answers the question of, or answers the need of what, people are looking for right now, and then really drive it forward. Okay. What this does not mean, let's just say this very clearly, do not create a partnership or a collaboration if there isn't anything on the horizon. Don't just do something and there's a potential sale in our minds. Just, again, think about it. Am I reaching out to this person because they're a friend, in the industry, or because they're well known? Are they really getting business now? Because you need to know how best to spend your time. So this is what type of businesses or brands would best suit mine for a collaboration. Are these businesses or brands fruitful? And how will we work together? So I want you guys to think about this before you even go into a partnership or spend your time on it. And over here to the right, we have some links to examples of collaboratives and partnerships. All right, and I believe this is our last one. And we do have time for questions at the end. Pivot. It's called the P word at this point, right? Everybody, I'm sure you've heard pivot quite a bit. What does pivot mean? Pivot means doing something you didn't normally do before as a company, right? As a business, as a brand. If you are not getting dollars in right now, you're changing up your tour. You're offering something different as a destination to actually get dollars in the door now, right? So this has been successful with some tourism entities that I've seen in the past. I have seen, and actually there's an example here, see Pierpont Place and Premier Event Services move to flower arrangements. There's also one, Base Camp Europe, Danielle's amazing. She actually moved from doing tours to camping gear rental, and now she's even launched a summer camp. So that's really, really, really getting an ear to the ground and thinking about the needs of the now. I think we have another question, so let's see.
We actually want to ask all of you a question that you can answer in the chat. As America continues to talk about pivoting in this time, we want to know if any of you have pivoted and what your stories have been. So if you want to go into the chats and answer that question, we'll be looking at the comments.
Yeah, that's great. We definitely want to know where you guys are in the now for sure. So yeah, again, we hear pivot all the time, and I want to reference back to where we are in our mindset, right? Don't do something because you have anxiety or because you feel this rush, where you're, jogging at the beginning of the start line of the race. I understand the feeling of urgency more than you would think. But at the same time, that can lead you to making decisions for your entire business that may not pay off. If you're going to change every single thing, that you have been founded on because you need to get dollars in the door now, you really need to think about if there is a need, right? So that's why I touched on Base Camp Europe, because summer camp is a definite need. What are we, so think about it. Think about what is needed in this coronavirus environment. What does everyone need? And then think about all of the assets that you have, all of the tangible assets, all of the knowledge of the people who work for you or your employees or what have you. How could that fit into an actual need, right? So again, pivoting is the P word. I don't want to say it's an ugly word, but it's definitely something. And you want to be watchful and you want to be wise about it. I had someone reached out to me the other day about creating another tour. I had advised that, I think this tour is great, but if nobody's taking, your other tour, why would a new tour work if it's not serving a need, right? So that's what I want you guys to be watchful for as well. Don't just create something that you already know how to do or that is already kind of the same as what you offer just because it's in your comfort zone, okay? Make sure that it is serving the need of the now, because there's so many needs right now that are different from any other time in our lives. All right, so this is where we're thinking of, pivot. How can my brand's employee knowledge, tangible resources, or locality lend to another endeavor? And this is where, you need to think out of the box. We have some links over here for, to the right where you can kind of get some inspiration. But before you even go anywhere, just think about what is needed and how do you have something that serves to it. Camping gear rental is great. If there's anything that we're seeing a lot of trends and surge towards outdoor things to do. People are really getting one with nature. There's a lot of RVs, a lot of, drive market, obviously. So think about the outdoors. Think about families. Think about the, the rebellious or the fearless young couples, and then think about what you can do to tailor to them if you are going to pivot in any way. And then, in demand, that's a huge one, right? And how much overhead would this cost? Because again, we're all kind of watchful of, the investment. We're not sure where our next dollar is going to come from, is particularly for 2020. So this is where we want you to strategize your next moves. How to prioritize your time and your money. And what we've done is over here to the left, we've segmented it to sit, walk, or run. And then this is where we have kind of ranked what we feel is most important. So competitive edge, organic social media, SEO, these are kind of the top things. And then if you're sit, these are some things you can do in the immediate. If you're walking, you need to probably prioritize what you have time and resources to get towards and really try to do that effectively. And then run. When I say run, I mean go, because in my experience with the clients that I have that are running, it is so competitive right now. And maybe when you are running, you will experience this as well. But with my clients that are in the run situation, everything isn't open. There's some things to do, and they just happen to be able to do them, like some of my clients on the beach, right? So in that instance, it is so beyond competitive because there's more people. There's an influx of people that are going to go to the beach and take jet skis. So they have to market and they have to be really clever now because their competitor already is. So just prepare for when it's time to run. You might have to have that budget to spend. So don't spend it all now in preparation because you're feeling anxious. And then next steps. So it's easy to get lost in the rapidly evolving world of this coronavirus tourism marketing. All of us are feeling the stretch and the constant need to catch up. But please remember, take care of yourself. We're all experiencing trauma. Keep calm and make decisions based on your historical data and evident opportunity. Not just because you had an idea, because you saw a shiny thing, right? These are real words. These are real things that work, but they may or may not work for your brand. So you really have to understand where you are. Are you sitting, walking, or running? And what you have in your resources, in your toolbox to really move forward with. And from there, I would definitely recommend, and you can kind of see here, what everybody can do. Everybody can really heighten their competitive edge. Everybody here, they can really sharpen those descriptive words and that engagement potential. We want to touch on the heartstrings of people, right? We want to make sure that they are living in the idea of our brand and that they are inspired and feel safe to connect with our brand, right? On a very visceral level. And we want to keep our social media going. Even if we're not paying for ads, we definitely need to keep the brand going, keep the brand interesting. Now is not the time in any way, shape, or form to go blank. You need to keep it going, and you need to evidence why you are there, why you are an entity to begin with, why you're special, so that on the other side of this, people will have you top of mind, because I guarantee you all of your competitors are not doing that. And so that's for sit and run. Everything else, local marketing, when it's time to market locally, start there first. I would say it's low-hanging fruit. It's not. It's difficult. But at the same time, with this workbook, you'll know what to do. And in terms of local marketing, we're talking tangible. We're talking, banners or coasters. We're talking definite Facebook geo campaigns, possibly Google ads, and really, really making sure that we're reaching people in the now and that drive market. And yeah, there's other things you can do, these great targeting things. We would be going over an hour if we went too much in depth of your tactical opportunities. But if you guys rate this well and you like this webinar, we can continue and do the next one in a much more in-depth way. So here are a crap ton of helpful links and resources. We have focus wires, how tourism marketers can boost content. We have the new Think with Google report. So this is a ton of stuff in the workbook that you're able to access and read up on your own. And we want to thank you. So, that's pretty much an hour. There's a lot more that we can get into, but I do want to make sure that your barometer is in the right place and that you know what to focus on. So really just make sure that you are in the right place mentally, that you are honest with yourself if you're going to sit, walk, or run. And then sit down, use this workbook, write it on a piece of paper, strategize how to spend your time and your investment so that you're not running in place and sweating bullets, thinking that you're not doing enough, because I promise you guys, you're doing enough. You are good enough, and we will get to the other side of this. We will reach 2021 in some way, shape, or form. We just need to make sure that we are strategic in the way that we arrive there so that we have the edge over our competition. So that is it. I'm not sure if we have any questions along the way, but we are open for some questions. So I'm going to mute it, and I think Ethan's going to take it away.
All right, America, we did have one question come up from Connie George. She wants to know if you recommend doing Facebook ads on just the weekdays or on the weekends as well.
Yeah, so I think at this point of time, I would do them all the time, especially, you don't have to spend a huge investment to actually get out there. So in that regard, I would do them all days of the week. Now, here's the thing. What you're speaking to is called day parting, and that's where you show your ads during certain times of the day or the week or what have you. You're planning your time. What we recommend is putting them out there 7 days a week, 24 hours, and then looking at the data, going into it the next week and seeing where the interactions are in that data. And then from there, that's where you can pause or day part based off of where you've had the most traction and engagement. So my recommendation is to do 7 days a week, let it run, and then review the data, and then pull back from there. Anybody else? Okay. Well, we will be available after this if you guys have any questions or if you need help with anything. We're absolutely there to guide you along the way. For anybody in this particular workshop, we are offering a free 1-hour consultation following this. So if you have specific questions, if you want to speak more tactically to your individual brand, absolutely complimentary to this particular webinar. Just schedule some time with us, reach out to us by email. We have it here, hello@Von Mack Agency, or you can reach me at America@Von Mack Agency, and we will be absolutely happy to help you through this. Also, if you enjoyed this and you like the workbook, please feel free to give us a review. We would be very thankful for getting any kind of feedback, good or bad. Just this has been an experimental thing for us as well, this interactive webinar. So we'd love to know how we've done. So I believe that's all.